Okay, good morning everyone, and welcome to the Service Delivery Committee meeting for the 19th of March. Kia ora koutou. We don't need to have an opening karakia because of our earlier one. So the first item on the agenda is the apologies. And I have apologies from Councillor Gower and also Councillor Lou Brown. No other ones. So can I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Bruce, and a seconder. Thank you, Mayor Susan. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you. Now, disclosure of members' interests. Lou Brown did mention that he had a conflict of interest with the Anzac Day road closures. But it's not here. But does anyone else have any conflicts of interest? No, cool, excellent. Are there any late items? No, and so could we confirm the order of the meeting, please? Can I have a mover and a seconder for that? Thank you, Philip, thank you, Mike. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried, thank you. Now we'll confirm the minutes of our meeting that was held on the 19th of February. So those minutes have been pre-circulated, and in the same resolution, we're also going to approve the public excluded meeting minutes as well. So, okay, thank you, Philip. And a second, thank you, Andrew. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. With that, the next item on the agenda is the Waipa Community Facilities Trust 6-monthly report. So I'd like to welcome Brad Ward to the table along with the trustees, the chief executive, Shane and Matt. Great to see you guys here. Yeah. It's always been a good experience in the past, so I'm hoping we're not going to be disappointed today.
So yeah, this is the Trust 6-monthly report to you as required by their agreement with Council. So as you'll be familiar with, we've got Shane Walsh, Chair of Waipa Community Facilities Trust, and Matt Horn, the CEO. Just a quick highlight, which I thought was awesome to see, was of the report was final record year of patronage the facilities last financial year. They're already up 19.3% this on year to date. So a great little highlight to start the kōrero this morning, but I'll hand over to Matt and Shane to take you through what I've got.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for allowing an opportunity for us to present our 6-monthly report. As Brad has led into, last year was a very successful year for the Trust, and this year seems to be tracking better than that year. So as of December, we were about 37,000, or just over 37,000 visits more than last year, which is 19.3. And as of February, we're about 43,000, to be honest. So we've had a good summer. The weather's been fantastic. So we're not complaining, to say the least. So the event centre itself is doing really well. That's up around 26,000 visits. A lot of that has to do with we've had more events and more usage in the stadium side, and the gym's doing really well. So our gym membership is, as of last month, was up at 1,400 members. And so that's pretty good with the amount of gyms and similar activities, and not only in TA but in Cambridge as well. So we seem to be doing quite well there. And as you can see, the stadium's up 13,000 or 68%. Sorry, I'm not going through. Getting ahead of myself.
Good news, man.
Yeah, I just want to go through the good news, get out the way, waiting for the bad news to turn up. Perry Aquatic Centre, once again, the patronage and its reputation is getting out there, and so the visits are up again, over 11,000 up. May the weather stay well, and we've had a few number of bookings outside the region. We've had some swim camps from North Auckland and Albany area, and some over from Tauranga, because the 50 metres kind of quite nice, and Obviously, Cambridge is an attractive area for them. So we had them over the summer season as well. At Club Waipa again, with more members, there's more visits. So we're up over 4,000 visits or attendance for that, which is about 13%. And as of December, the membership was at 1,317, but as of February, it was at 1,405. So it's gone up from there as well again. We have the summer push for the New Year's resolutions, and then we'll do the winter push for getting ready for summer. And that comes up. So that cycle that keeps going through. Swim Waipa, slightly down on last year. Last year was record numbers, but if you look at the year prior to last year, it's around the same. But it's something that we're working on. We've been quite fortunate that when the pool opened, by default, the swim school grew. And so it's kind of got to that plateau now. So now we, need to work a bit harder in that area. And we've got some stuff that we're working on to target that moving forward. But still quite good numbers.
Excuse me, Matt, is it okay for us to have questions?
Yeah,
for you?
anytime.
Okay, all right. So, Phil, over to you.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Thanks for your report today. Great numbers. Just quickly on that swimming slightly down, is there anything else you think may be driving that as well?
I think there's money pressure from
Right.
people. Both memberships, doesn't seem to be gym memberships, but those niceties, your Sky sort of subscriptions. And we put the prices up slightly, but we're still lower than everybody else in our area, probably in the Waikato, near the bottom end of that in our swim school. But we're looking at that as well. We're looking at some software systems that may help improve communication with our community and payment avenues. So we're just going through that process now and down to a couple of final providers.
So from a board's point of view, one of the things we're working on, one of our strategies is to focus on that area and improve it. We think one of the barriers is the cost, and it's an upfront payment, and then they get your swimming lessons. And so we think that may be a barrier in this economic climate that we're in. So we're looking at an app. The app will have several functions. One will be to spread that payment out, like a bit more like a gym membership where you're paying as you go. And we think that will help to eliminate that barrier. The second thing is we want to be the best swimming school in New Zealand is the vision. And we want to have this app where that the parents know where their children are in terms of their swimming, what level they're at, etc. And it's just there on their phone. So we're trying to improve the communication. So that's strategically, that's some of the things that we are working on to improve that graph.
So an information source, homework, a school report type thing of
Correct.
The swimming.
Yep.
For the parents electronically.
Yeah, like a school app where you can log in on your child and see how their progress is going. As you can probably note that when you've got 2,000 kids in the swim school, to get to talk to every parent on how their child's progressing and the turnaround between classes can get a bit tough. So hopefully the app can be updated and you can see the progress. And, if you've got comments, you can fire it through on the app and then someone can reply. We'd love to be face-to-face to everybody, but sometimes that's not possible.
And just lastly, sorry, for parents going there with a child to swim, the child has siblings maybe, and those siblings may need to have homework to do, swimming. So is there a facility where they can get online, web Wi-Fi and do some homework and things like that to cater for that? Is that might be just logistics of running families and things? Is there something?
Yeah, we've looked at that type of access to the Wi-Fi. We're in a kind of a unique environment, and we talk to the community constable and stuff on advice for that. The nature of our facilities are a bit different from like a library or a meeting room or just a stadium. We've got people that are scantily clothed, people changing babies on the side of the pool, take a photo and suddenly they could be sent somewhere. So The advice was from the community constable was to provide it for users that actually hire the centre, not just everybody that comes through. So if you come in and borrow the centre, we'll give you Wi-Fi password and stuff like that. Yeah, everybody's on their phone, everybody's recording. We've had incidents of inadvertently or deliberate people taking photos of maybe their own children catching someone else's child, and the families haven't liked that. And it's very hard for the staff to police what they can and can't do. Some people, waiting at the bottom of the hydro slide, catches someone else's kid and then just. So those are the challenges that we got. And the nature of our business is a bit to give it to everybody and things like that.
Yeah, good point. Yes, Mike.
Thanks for the chair. Matt, just on that swim school, if parents do a drop off and they stay, do they get charged, or can they wait for their kid in the complex for free, for instance?
Yeah, so if you're with the swim school, that's included in your fees. You can
Yeah,
come
good,
in,
good,
but we
yeah.
count them because they still use the toilets, still make a
Yeah,
mess.
but
still things like that.
they don't get
Not
charged.
for the swim school.
No,
If you
yeah.
come in for casual swim
Yep.
and then we charge the $2.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks. And I've got some other questions. Liz and then Andrew. Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Matt. So I just wanted us to delve into the swim, the more high performance athletes that we used to have a different operating model many years ago. You'll remember the meetings that we had where we had, I guess, a voluntary parent coach situation that was run externally, and then the transition, of course, to it being held, or organised by yourselves. How has that transition worked? How many of those I call high performance athletes, teenagers, so to speak, do we have now compared to then? Like, are you able just to help convince me that this has been a good transition?
Yeah, there is pros and cons to that, I would say. Bringing it in-house has been a challenge for the squad swimming. Swimming in general at competitive level is declining nationally. And so the kids that used to transition from learn to swim to competitive swimming and then onwards used to be quite high a decade ago, maybe even a couple of decades ago. But as other opportunities open up for the children now, there's other avenues where they don't have to slog as much and probably get a professional career out of it. If you follow the swimming pathway, I suppose a gold medal at the Olympics would be your highest achievement. Whereas you could go play basketball now, get a career, go yachting, get a career, triathlon, get a career. So we don't seem to have the ones, they seem to get to about 13, 14, and then whether they stay or they'll move to, say, the North Shore where the national coach may be or a identified coach. So what we want to do is build that base and then try and grow them from there. I think our percentage conversion from learn to swim to actual competitive swimming is about 3%. When I spoke to Swimming Waikato, it was even lower across all of the boards. So it's quite a tough challenge for us to be the actual competitive swimming. We've probably got about 60 competitive swimmers from a base of 2,000. So those are the challenges that we've got. And I don't think it's just us. I think it's nationally that it's getting quite tough.
Yeah. Thanks for those comments, Matt.
Health and safety. Most of the areas have dropped, which is quite remarkable due to the fact of more people through, but the incidents have gone up. So when you say accidents, we class that as we've provided first aid to the people. If it's an incident, it could be a theft, it could be something that's happened that's gone wrong that we've had to report. They've gone up a bit, but the actual accidents haven't gone down. Contaminations are about the same,
That's pretty good.
and which is not bad, but Cambridge, which never used to have them, now seems to have more. But a lot of that's vomits and parents rushing their kids, grab that food down your throat, you got a lesson, and then they regurgitate it. We have to then follow that process.
Right, got a question from Andrew?
Yeah, I was just looking at this and overall, it's probably an improvement, especially as you say, with more people coming through. I was looking at your near miss thing, and I've got a feeling your reporting could be it just seems like very, very low compared to what's happened if all of the near misses were being reported.
Once again, the nature of our business is a bit different from everywhere else. If you follow the health and safety, you'd normally say, for example, the near misses would be big and then your pyramid would be leading up to an accident. Because the nature of our environment, we've got wet, excited, happy kids. They go straight into an accident. Pretty much they're running on poolside, which is wet and slippery. You know, we've had people just sitting on a seat and the automatic doors open, they get trapped in them, even though we've got signage up. So we're kind of a little bit opposite. It's not that I'm trying to not say we don't do near misses, but I've got reports on reports that get sent through to me on a regular basis. So that's the reason why normally you'd have the near misses more, and then you're leading up to a major one, whereas we kind of, someone comes in, they're poor of health, and then suddenly they've had a stroke, or I'm not just using that as a wild example, but the nature, dehydrated in the sauna, been in there too long, or the spa. It's not a near miss, it's automatically straight to an accident or something like that. And the ambulance has been called.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I certainly get what you say about, I couldn't tell, I take my grandkids down every Monday for swimming lessons. I tell them not to run. I might as well just save my breath. It's hopeless.
Yeah.
They walk for about 2 steps.
Yeah. Excited. They don't realise, and when you're at that age, you don't realise your environment. Oh, I jump in the pool here, suddenly I'm getting rescued by a lifeguard. Suddenly deep. They just want to hop in the water and have fun. Pool water quality, once again, on par with most other years, well above the national standard that we have to meet. And we are having challenges with the 50-metre outdoor pool at Cambridge. Even though the pool's a fantastic pool, it's an old pool, filtration's good, but the circulation isn't as good. So we get stagnant water, so the staff have to work a bit harder to try and maintain the build-up of algae and things like that, which sometimes is a bit of a challenge because they actually have to hop in the water to vacuum the pool. And we need a vacuum that vacuums it to waste, not just an automatic robot that will only capture hair and lint and stuff like that. We have to actually take it to waste. Customer feedback, and we're up, and we get feedback every day from our customers talking to our staff, but what we do is we record the ones that are actually physically written, and so this is only the written ones. So the compliments are slightly up. Complaints that are valid are unfortunately up 2, and not valid are up 7, and suggestions around the same.
I have a question from Hinerangi.
Kia ora, can you, and I'm sure you've probably done this in other reporting, but can you just give a quick explanation as to valid and non-valid?
Sure. Valid would normally be it's our mistake, or we've provided poor service. A non-valid complaint, the pool temperature's cold, but it's within the range, but I like it slightly warmer, or I didn't get a lane to myself. Yeah, I want a towel. I went to Tauranga Pools and there was a towel thing, that spinner that dried my togs. Why haven't you got one? Things like that.
You're giving us a good insight into your day. Yeah.
Well, the staff get it. I just have to get the reports off them. So, yeah, I've passed those times. Normally gets passed up though. That's what happens. Sorry. Yeah.
I've got another question.
So, sorry, I just have one question. I've been asked to ask why visitors to the Perry Aquatic Centre aren't allowed to take, takeaways, the hot chips, that sort of thing into the pool anymore. And is that considered a customer?
Yeah, we try and encourage the people, if they're coming, to bring only snacks and not brought food and stuff like that. We get a lot of code browns in accidents, which then affects for everybody else. They also drag the food, make a mess, and sometimes try and eat it in the pools. So at Perry Aquatic Centre, we've got the barbecue area, so they can cook and they're away from the pool. At TA is a bit more difficult, so we don't mind snacks. You bring in a snack in food, But when you start bringing in pizza and KFC and all the whatnot like that, it just becomes diabolical. And then by the end of it, we normally have an accident that closes the pool down, and then it affects everybody else. And if you've got booked and learn to swim, or booked in another event, or just a busy day, it spoils it for everybody, unfortunately. So that's our challenge, to try and reduce those. It's not that we don't want people to eat, that's the byproduct of it, I guess.
And so supplementary to that, you're equating Code Browns and all of those other things to takeaways and hot tips and bread and things being brought in. The feedback that I've gotten is that it doesn't quite feel like a community space.
Yeah.
If you can't bring in like hot tips and bread or something, I don't know.
We did our actual, in our first few years, for the councillors that were still here, we've probably dropped our Code Browns and vomits in half by bringing in the food policy. So we closed for about 3.5 weeks, I think it was in total, from Code Browns, or contaminations as we call them. And we've reduced that. We still have closures, but we've reduced that since the food policy's been brought in. So we had to weigh up access and use for the facilities, or allowing someone to eat that may do it. So there's no right decision. It was trying to get the best of both worlds, where we allow you, you bring in a little snack. So if a school comes in and they bring their lunches, then that's fine. But if you have birthday party after birthday party, a lot of the parents will say, my kid's toilet trained. I don't want swim nappies. And suddenly we've got a closure. And then you've got swimming lessons. So then you've got people that have paid for swimming lessons that you've got to turn away and say, oh, sorry, here's a credit. And so it's just a balancing act, to be honest.
Ka pai, thanks for that. It's hard to argue with empirical data. Ka pai, kia ora.
That's all right.
Oh, thanks for the discussion. In fact, I think Liz would like to contribute a little bit.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. And when the food policy was in draft form and introduced to the Te Amutu community, believe you me, my phone rang hot, because it was such a change, and people really did feel that the ability the lack of being able to bring your own food was going to be real disadvantage for some families. But I think that the proof that Matt and the team have brought today, but certainly I've been keeping an eye on it over the last few years as well. It seems to have transitioned nicely. But it's, just unfortunate that, kind of had to go down this road in the first place.
There wasn't a cafe then either. So there's a cafe down there, and then the playground didn't provide that. So when we first started, that area was quite vacant, and it was just a seated area. So then, of course, there's food because there's nothing else to provide, or another opportunity for that. That's not that we're trying to force them to use the cafe, but there's a fantastic playground and just areas like that. So
This topic's generating a lot more interest. So I've got Dale Marie, she'd like to say something, and then.
No, but I'd like to commend it. So sorry, Cuz, I'd like to commend it because the rubbish bins were always full too prior to the introduction. So I'm thinking that's probably come down a little bit too. And I'm not just saying the ones that were inside, but also the outside ones were always jammed up.
Yeah.
So I've seen a decrease in the rubbish since the and because, my muckles go there, I don't want any more Code Browns.
Matt, when you have to close a pool, how long before you can get it up and running, roughly, do you think?
there's different, depending what type of thing it is. So there's different protocols for vomit or blood, and there's difference between solids and diarrhea. So generally, if it's, sorry, I don't want it to be toilet humour. So if it's like a diarrhea, that's normally a bug generated type of thing. So then you have to clean the pool, but it's 3 turnovers of the pool. So the whole volume of the water has to go through the filter 3 times. Sometimes that turnover may be 3 hours for one turnover, and then it takes 9 hours for it to be over. If it's a solid and you've caught it quite quickly, it's highlight that area, teaching everyone how to clean a pua. You scoop it up, chlorinate that area, get the parts per million of chlorine up high, wait for 30 minutes, then check it again. Then once it's below the chlorine level, it's good to come back in so we don't burn the customer when they hop back in. Then things, so it's different protocols for different types. But sometimes it's just, you've got food that you haven't digested and vomit, that's not technically an illness and you can just scoop it and put a bit of chlorine in. But you're on the side of caution and do the 30 minutes if it's things like that.
Really appreciate you going into such detail on this. Yeah, it's things that I've really agonised over. Yeah. No.
To educate the community, really, so. Yeah. Because we have to present the annual customer survey, I've only got last year's one in. Our current one is just closed and we're collating the data. So that will probably be in the full annual one. So I don't want to go into too much detail because you would have had it last year. But this year, last year we had about 1,100 responses, just over. This year it looks like we've had about 783. So quite a good return on, open for 3 weeks, I guess, of the thing that we got. We also provide, if you've ever been there, you might see a QR code by reception where if you've got comments just for the day, you can scan that code and put your comments in. So we've even created that avenue for our customers if they want to comment that doesn't have to be actually in the survey. Pricing. So highlighting as of 1 July, everything's gone up, as everyone knows, especially energy. The costs, everything's gone up. Plant, wages, everything. So what we've highlighted in red, anything that's red is changed. So as of 1 July, we're looking to put up the price by 50 cents, except for low impact aerobics, which has been super cheap. I think that's $1. It's going from $5 to $6, but everything else is going up slightly to help cover those costs.
I've got a question there from
Matt, how
Bruce.
do you justify hydroslide per hour $5? Because you've got a lot of pumping and everything else going on there.
Yeah. In our last report, I think it cost an individual, I think it was about $19 per visit, full paying. So amount of people through to the amount of costing the ratepayer about $19 per visit. And we got that down. It might have been $15. So even if you pay a $2 or $8 full paying adult, with the ratepayer and the trust are subsidising the difference. So we wanted to make it accessible. And so for our other services like the gym and the swim school, that's where we target maybe a little bit more because it's user pays, but we're still trying to make it fun for the community. If you look down at the family passes, you can bring your family of 2 adults, 2 children, or 1 adult and 3 children for $60. You can go to the movies for that and spend all day and get the hydroslides, and you're over $100 for a couple of you to watch the movies and get snacks. So we still want it to be available and quite good for the community. And like we agree, $5 for the hydroslide is dirt cheap. So, and because we have to put an extra staff member on, and the pumps that have to drive the water to the top, draw a lot of energy. So just getting that balance right, and we still want it to be enticing as well.
Matt, I was in there recently and I saw the inflatables there. Like, how popular are they?
Yeah, they're pretty good. We've just replaced them. So every 3 to 4 years, or we try and change it up and get something new. So we've had Tarzan swings, and then I think we've got a dual racer, which we can have more than one child at the TA site, which they haven't had before. So it's just, I've been to the pools before, I've done that. We try and do something different within the confines that we got without a major capital spend or capital new spend.
Oh no, great to see stuff like that there. Yeah. Thanks. Oh, and I've got a question for Mike.
What do you do with the ones you change out, Matt?
Normally,
Asking for a friend.
Yeah. Normally they're end of life, or we've had to patch them, so they end up like patchy dogs, the old Dalmatian where you've got plastic weld. But sometimes they're not the best, but send me an email and see if we've got any in store for a friend. So we'll be all right. For a friend of a friend.
Now,
So
I'm sure I'd like
we're good for community
interest.
things. Getting through to key events. So this is 6 months. These are additional to our regular community bookings. We had the National Area Secondary School Sports Tournament, the Kiki North Island Table Tennis Tournament. So the club in Kiki held the national table tennis, and it was quite spectacular seeing these semi-professional or good setup for table tennis, not just in your local garage. We had the GPC Powerlifting National Champs, which we've never had before. The National Wheelchair Rugby, a lot of kapahaka festivals, and seem to get those, which is really good because they're really popular. And, you know, leading up to Matatini was really, we had a few people training in there, a few groups. We had cheerleading, so cheer edition, so which we haven't, and then the Open Dairy Christmas dinner. Got the cat show coming, and this week we just signed a 2-day fight event in May. So it looks like we've got a boxing / kickboxing event coming in for 2 days in May. So we're quite excited about that we've never held before. So in Central North Island Secondary School Sports Tournament. Just a bit of the financials. As you can see, even though we're really good, if it was operational, we'd be slightly ahead, but with the CapEx, because we receive that as income, we report that. So we're 52% from council and 47% from the trust, 6 monthly. Don't worry about that surplus. With the power going up, we're looking at probably $180,000 to $200,000 unpredicted energy costs going up 96%. So that'll be zapped up, and then obviously we have our maintenance period. So while it looks good, you know the 100,000 in the maintenance period coming up in June, that money won't look so flash by then, but it looks good to 6 months anyway.
So if I can just add, so we had a board meeting yesterday, and you know, we're very pleased about the results, and we're very pleased with Matt and his team, how they delivered the strategy that we have approved. We're particularly pleased about the event centre, where the occupancy's gone from 37% to 60% within a very short period, and that visitors to the event centre have gone up 53% compared to the same time last year. So it's good to see that these things have been delivered by Matt and his team. But as everyone knows, costs are going up. So there's 3 things I just want to, that we've been talking to Sally and Brad about, and we're working on together as a team. But I just think you need to be aware of these things. Now, one of them you are aware of, and that's the energy costs. Energy costs are going up. We believe that if we change away from gas, that there is going to be a great return on investment, which will save everyone, ratepayers money, etc. But we're just a little bit concerned about the lack of urgency in that particular project. So we'd just like to highlight that a project like that, that's going to save a lot of money over a short period of time, we'd like to see a little bit more urgency in delivering that. So that's one issue. The second issue that I want to raise is the Cambridge pool. It's clear now that some of the components in the Cambridge pool area aren't fit for purpose. And it's going to be a lot of cost in terms of replacement. So that's coming up. So it's a new project. Some of the components chosen by the contractors want to make a profit. They'll choose something that may be not fit for purpose. And it's just over time that you find these things out, and we're starting to find that out. So
just on that point, Shane, can you give us an example and maybe quantify, what we're talking about?
And I'll pass back to Matt because he has the detail on that.
Yeah, thanks.
We didn't really want to get into detail. We're more of just support.
Yeah, just to
support. But there's a few things that we're using our operating budget to replace things that should be lasting, say, should have a shelf life of 5 years and lasting 18 months. We've had a number of lights go, and the drivers or the starters going that we've had to replace, like 11 of them. air handling units. I don't want to go into too much detail, but it's just things that we need to work on, and we're disappointed that, you know, instead of delivering and using that money to deliver and maintain, we're now using it to actually do things that are unplanned. And there's a challenge. We've got the outside pool that needs to be done. That cost by alone has gone from roughly 60 to 100,000 just to paint the pool. And that's probably due, and it's a challenge because you can only do it in the dry because we've got high water tables below the pool. And so you've got to have good weather, and then you've got to cure the pool, so it has to be empty. And so you've already got a short season in the summer, so we've had to push that out as well.
I appreciate giving some examples, but I think Brad would like to respond.
Yeah, so as Shane and Matt noted, we are working with them and the property team to understand what these issues are, and some of it requires some testing. There's often when you have a new facility, there are teething issues, and I think with the life cycle of some of the things coming through, and even just the usage of it now, we're starting to see some of that. So we are working with the trust to try and identify what some of these key issues are, and then put in remediation. Some of it's not a tight turnaround, like some of it requires air testing, and at the moment with the summer pool period, the doors are open and there's lots of airflow, so we kind of need to wait till the winter season comes through and we can get an accurate measure on some of that reading. But yeah, just to give the council some confidence that we are aware of these things, and we continue to work with the trust to try and facilitate as much as we can within our current budgets as well.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate that. I'm sure we'll get updates regularly on it.
Yeah, so just to emphasise, we are talking to Brad and Sally. They are aware of these things, but I just feel that you need to be aware of them as well. And the third thing is we've identified some cost savings, what we consider to be wasteful spending in terms of some consultants, etc. And again, I'm not going to get into any detail in this public forum, but it's just, again, a sense of urgency in these issues that will save money over the long term. That's all we're asking for.
Thank you, Shane. Yeah, like those words, efficiencies and saving money. Yeah, that sounds pretty sweet to us. And I'm sure that this is a conversation that Brad, you're in on too, and you'll update us as appropriate. Thank you.
I think that's it, Matt.
I've got a question from Mike.
And there may be solar. We looked into solar because you're a trust, you can get grants.
When the Cambridge project was done, solar was on the top of the list to be done, but the product that they chose, which is called Kingspan, couldn't take the weight or the wind up thrust. So that's why I think it was Waipaha Networks went with the charging. They put the charging network there instead. That was their contribution. So the current roof at TA and Cambridge wouldn't allow for solar panels.
Definitely looked into it quite, because Waipaha Networks were willing to sponsor the capital cost of it. Yeah.
So Mike, from the trust point of view, we'd be very keen that Waipaha was known as the place that uses solar power and all these other energy savings devices. So, we do raise this, and we would love someone to look at our operations and say, hey, what could we do? So we'd fully support that approach.
I just wonder whether or not you could tell us when the last time an energy audit was done for your operation.
Martin Lynch did one 7 years ago.
7 years. Oh.
5 around there,
Yeah.
I'd say.
And I'm just wondering.
And I know
whether-
he's doing one now currently, working with the team on the current heating system that we've got there.
Yeah, I think Sally is able to fill us in on some detail. Thank you, Sally.
So recently, in terms of and feeding back to our long-term plan processes, we had done an audit in terms of what areas needed to be further investigated, also knowing what was occurring in terms of the energy market and that future view. So those were projects that have been considered but are not necessarily funded at this time. But we still are doing that work at the moment, just in light of the gas issues that we're dealing with and what the opportunities are there. And I know that in terms of the earlier comment, solar was something that was very much looked at, but the reasons for the weighting, et cetera, didn't work with the building. So they were considered and dismissed as part of that project.
Really appreciate you being able to provide us with that. I was just wondering with the solar thing, like technology may have moved on since then.
Yeah,
and maybe
agreed.
that a lightweight option may be available actually. Yeah.
And Martin, I think, is our guru, if I can use that term, in terms of the space, and can very much help provide that support. He is very good at providing the real detail, and behind that we work with the Trust on energy use at the moment. And I think, we learned fairly early on with Peri Aquatic Centre that even though it's got more water space, it's a well more efficient building than we had with Te Amuru. So that's just a change of times with technology. So, obviously an area that we want to continue to improve, noting what's happening in the energy sector at the moment.
Thanks, Sally. Appreciate that.
Yeah, the challenges with the energy is it's probably gone up about 20,000 a month.
Oh, a month. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's an argument for being able to generate your own, isn't it? Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Now, are there any other questions? I really appreciate, the engagement we've had and the, good level of interest.
Not a question, but, just fantastic feedback out there from the community. There's people coming in, I know friends coming in from Tamihere to use the pools, especially instead of going the other way, because it'd be 50-50 in distance. And, but from the Cambridge community, anyway, I'm talking about the Cambridge pool specifically, just fantastic feedback. So awesome facility. And we know all the troubles of, before getting it all together and everything and how long it took, but it's certainly going really, really well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate the absolute fantastic work we think you're doing. To come here at this time of, like at the 6 monthly point and say that you've got 37,000 more users, 19% increase and that, and then sharing with us the challenges that you have. I mean, you can see that you're totally dedicated to this. And I think, our communities are the ones that are the winners really to have these facilities that are as accessible and possible. And that you just wish you all the very best and really keen to see, how those strategic improvements could be achieved over time. Yeah, no, keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I've got a resolution that the report of Brad Ward on the Waipa Community Facilities Trust 6-monthly report be received. Okay, Mike's going to move and Dale Marie's going to second. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay,
Look forward to your next report. Okay, so our next item on the agenda is the road closure for the Kairangi Loop Bent Sprint. And we have Marion Fleming here. Welcome. Great to see you.
I don't need.
Oh, yes, we do like you to use that, because some of us older members, are challenged
Also make sure that it's online and that people
on.
online via here.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
and feel free to move it closer to you, so you don't have to lean into the desk and it just sits there and.
So it does. There you
that's
go.
fantastic.
There I am.
We can hear your beautiful voice and that's what is the most important thing. So
Thank you very
over
much.
to you for the Kairangi Loop Bent Sprint.
Kia ora, good morning, I think it still is.
Yes,
Or good
just.
afternoon, just, there you go. Just one of my riveting reports, the Kairangi Loop Bent Sprint 2025, there's been a request for a road closure. This has been advertised and has had no objections to the road closure. And would you folks like me to read it or has everybody read it?
Oh, I think that members will have read it. I'm looking to see if there's support to move the resolution. So Mike, you're going to move and who's seconding? Oh, I'll let Liz, I think she was first. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried, thank you. And then the next one is the New Zealand Age Group Road Cycling Championship.
Also, the New Zealand Age Group Road Cycling Championships request for a road closure on to hold their rally on the 11th, Friday, 11th of April through to the 13th of April. And we've received no objections to that one either.
Okay, so Dale Marie, are you willing to move? Yes, and Susan's going to second. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried, thank you. The next one, the Anzac Day, Te Awamutu.
Anzac Day, Te Awamutu closure, road closure for our Anzac Day celebrations. And
okay, we've got some people already. So I've got Liz moving and Andrew seconding. All in favour, please say aye. Not wanting to rush you. Yeah.
Cool, that's fine.
Against, carried.
Next.
Thank you. And the next one is the Anzac Day Cambridge.
Cambridge.
Oh, Liz is going to move. Who will second? Mike's going to second. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you.
Cambridge Cycling Festival 2025.
Okay.
On Anzac Day as well.
Yes. All right. Okay, we've got a mover in Monty and a seconder, please. Dale Marie. Thank you. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I won't take it personally that you want me out of the room as fast as possible.
Please don't take it personally. We just, thank you.
I'd like to thank you all very much.
Excellent. Thank you. And now our next item is the request for a new road name for C2 and C3. And we've got our usual suspects here. James, thank you. Welcome, gentlemen. Over to you for your item for the road naming.
Morning, Madam Chair, councillors. James, Harry, we got the road naming report in front of you guys. I take it all as read. Does anyone have any questions on this one new road name?
Thank you. So any questions? No? Sounds good. So you're happy to move, Philip? Thank you. And a seconder, thank you.
Yep.
Who was it? Who was first? Liz, oh, not Liz, you'll be the person. Yeah, okay. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you, gentlemen. I'm sorry you couldn't be here longer. Yeah, thank you. And that brings us to the end of our agenda. So I'd like to invite Dale Marie, if you could, oh, sorry, Philip, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just something on these cycling events and all sorts of stuff. I was walking down Hamilton Road in the weekend and on the cycle track, and some cyclists who I know, avid cyclists, all dressed up in their lycra and everything like that, were specifically going out on their ride on the cycle tracks just within Cambridge, because they were said that there was naysayers in the newspaper saying that there's people not using them, and they were specifically, instead of doing a 100k loop all around the hills, they were specifically going between the high level bridge and Te Awa, where it finishes at the moment, and just going backwards and forwards for about a couple of hours. And they just stopped to say thanks on behalf of all the councillors and council for building these projects and doing a great job. So yeah, it was
Really
good.
appreciate you giving us that feedback. Thank you. Oh no, all right, yes, we'll let Steph have a chance to respond.
No, I just think because we're in public, I would like to acknowledge Philip's acknowledgement and let you know that in the Te Awa a village that Susan and I visited on Friday night, we also had the same feedback about the Te Awa Cycleway. But I would just like to acknowledge Sarah Ulmer, because actually Sarah's vision and passion and dedication to this was one of the critical things. And I know that she suffered significant personal abuse for that. And look what that foresight and strategic vision and creativity brought for our community. And so I'd just like to acknowledge that, because we get to experience all the positive feedback and the negative from time to time. But I do think it's important we acknowledge those people who were prepared to put their head above the parapet and do something different. And I know it wasn't always easy for her. So I just like to acknowledge Sarah.
Yeah, and I'd really endorse that too. She personally got hammered and at community board meetings and all sorts of stuff in the newspaper and what have you. And sorry to add then again now, I mean, I'm an avid cyclist. I love adventuring all around the place and, but it's great for our community. And, you know, you're walking up and down the street and you see people that are clearly visitors and who are cyclists or whatever. And you talk to them and welcome them to Cambridge. I'm sorry, Te Awamutu, but welcome them to our area. And they say, you know, the cycle tracks in New Zealand, there's an amazing network, just as good as anywhere else in the world. And it's really good to hear all this sort of stuff and then pass it on to you guys because we're the ones that approve all the funding for it. With the NZTA, hopefully they pulled that. But yeah, I mean, it's just phenomenal out there. It's really, really great. So,
All right, so thank you, Philip, and thank you, Steph, for giving us that perspective as well. Yeah, so I really appreciate that, and yeah, look forward to further feedback on those cycleways. So with that, we are now just needing a closing karakia for us to finish.
Tēnā koutou, and I'll just add to the cycling corridor is that Kiki School are looking for new bike racks because they do not have enough.
Wow.
They have more children biking to school and their parents are biking with them. And there has been the creation of new walking groups that are utilising those cycleways as well. So I'm just going to plug that on there because I know how we get quite a bit of feedback about Kiki. So anyway, and lastly, I just would like to mihi tēnā koe, Steph, I whakakanohi koe kia ia mātou kei te paukai a Parawera. E koutou rā, I tū mai nei ia kaupapa I whakanui I te mana whenua. And I'd like to just have a little mention about the beautiful kaupapa that some of us attended the other day at Resthaven. That was a really stunning kaupapa the other day. So in ending our busy day today, even though the agendas didn't look like it was going to be busy, Inuhia ki te uru tapu nui, kia wātea, kia māma, tēnā kau, te tinana, te wairua. Koia rā, ka whakairia ki runga, kia tīna, tīna, haumie, huie, taiki, tēnā tātou.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.